Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today I'm going to give my review of AEW's Dynamite. Starting off the night, we have a tag team matchup. It is Adam Page teaming up with Christian Cage, taking on Jay White and Juice Robinson. I thought it was a good match, back and forth matchup between both teams with Adam Page and Christian Cage keeping the pace of the match. Hook then attacks Nick Wayne. Page and Jay then both exchange in the middle of the ring with Page hitting a fallaway slam. Jay then hits a Blade Runner on Cage on the outside. Juice then hits a roll-up. Referee is distracted. And then all of a sudden, Juice then, Sabian hits Juice with the contract. Page then hits a Deadeye, pins for the 3. And your winners of the match are Adam Page and Christian Cage. Moving on from that, we have Renee Paquette backstage with an interview with Mercedes Moné. Renee asked Moné about Full Gear. Moné talks about Chris Statlander. Chris then attacks Camille and Moné. And then Statlander spears Moné through a wall. Moving on from that, we have a Will Ospreay segment. Ospreay comes out to the ring. He is greeted by Tony Schiavone. Ospreay grabs a microphone and says he wants answers. Ospreay calls out Fletcher. Fletcher comes out to the ring. Fletcher mocks Ospreay. Fletcher then throws out a screwdriver because Ospreay knew he had the screwdriver on him. Ospreay then talks about the history he had with Kyle Fletcher and that he welcomed him into his home. Fletcher then says Ospreay wants credit for Fletcher's success. Fletcher says Ospreay is selfish. Ospreay then talks about his accolades and what he's done throughout his career. Ospreay then said it'll be him versus Fletcher at Full Gear. Ospreay calls himself Mr. Pay-Per-View. Don Callis' family is here as well. Mark Davis and Hobbs are here. And then an all-out brawl happens in the middle of the ring. Moving on from that, we go into our next impromptu match. It's a Falls Count Anywhere matchup. It's Lance Archer versus Roderick Strong. I thought it was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Archer and Strong, with Strong keeping the pace of the match. Cage then attacks Roderick Strong. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett come out to the ring to attack Archer and Cage. Archer then hits a chokeslam on Taven on the outside. But Strong hits a jumping knee on Lance Archer, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match is Roderick Strong. After the match, Roderick Strong grabs a microphone and talks about Full Gear, and then he's attacked by Takeshita. Moving on from that, we have Adam Cole versus Takeshita. It was a good match, back and forth matchup with Cole keeping the pace of the match. Takeshita hits a Blue Thunder Bomb in the middle of the ring, but Cole and Takeshita both exchange in the middle of the ring. Cole hits an Enziguri. Takeshita gets up, hits a Tombstone Piledriver on Adam Cole. Cole gets up, hits a Panama Sunrise off the top rope. Takeshita then goes underneath the ring, grabs the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Takeshita then hits Cole with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, pins him for the 3, and your winner of the match is Takeshita. After the match, you can see MJF watching on, laughing on the Titantron. After that, Takeshita attacks Roderick Strong. O'Reilly saves Roderick. Ricochet then attacks Takeshita. Cole then extends his hand to O'Reilly, but O'Reilly walks off. Moving on from that, we have Renee Paquette again backstage with Bobby Lashley. MVP hypes up Lashley. Lashley says that he's going to make an example out of Swerve Strickland at Full Gear. Moving on from that, we have Yuto and Claudio attacking JD Drake, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Moxley comes out to the ring. Moxley talks about Orange Cassidy. He also talks about Full Gear. Orange Cassidy is here. He's standing on the stage with Rocky Romero and Mark Briscoe. Orange says that Moxley holds the symbol of AEW. Orange Cassidy then mocks Moxley. And then Orange Cassidy calls out Wheeler Yuta for a wrestling match. After that, the Blackpool Combat Club head to the back, but they are attacked by Darby Allin. Moving on from that, we had an announcement, well, somewhat of an announcement. In 2 weeks, there will be another Continental Classic tournament beginning in about 2 weeks. Definitely looking forward to that because last year's Continental Classic tournament was absolutely awesome, or at least the first tournament was absolutely awesome. Moving on from that, we have Penelope Ford and Britt Baker. I thought it was a decent match, back and forth matchup between Ford and Baker, with Baker keeping the pace of the match. Ford and Baker both exchange in the middle of the ring, but Baker ultimately applies a lockjaw on Ford. And your winner of the match is Britt Baker. After the match, Serena Deeb comes out to the ring, or out to the stage, and stares down Britt Baker. Moving on from that, we have Renee Paquette backstage once again, interviewing Mina Shirakawa. Shirakawa talks about Mariah May. She also says it'll be herself versus Harley Cameron for this Saturday's Collision. Moving on from that, we go into our next match of the night. It is Lio Rush versus Swerve. I thought this was a great match, man. Back and forth matchup between Rush and Swerve, with Swerve keeping the pace of the match. Lio Rush hits a Spanish Fly for a near fall. Lio then hits a Poison Rana on Swerve on the outside. Lio then hits a Frog Splash off the top rope for a near fall, but Swerve ends up getting up, hit the finish on Lio Rush. Pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Swerve Strickland. After the match, Swerve grabs a microphone. He talks about the Hurt Syndicate. Swerve then calls out Lashley, says, why wait until Full Gear? The Hurt Syndicate are at the stage. MVP then hypes up Swerve. And all of a sudden, Shelton Benjamin attacks Swerve from behind. Lashley then attacks Swerve, and MVP attacks Prince Nana. Moving on from that, we have a video package. A video package was played showing Julia Hart. It looks like Julia Hart is on her way back to AEW. Moving on from that, we go into our main event of Dynamite. It is FTR versus the Kings of the Black Throne. I thought this was a great match. Back and forth matchup between FTR and the Kings of the Black Throne, with the Kings of the Black Throne keeping the pace of the match. FTR hit a shatter machine in the middle of the ring for a near fall, but Brody King applies a submission hold, and your winners of the match due to submission are the Kings of the Black Throne, and they will move on to face Private Party in the Fatal 4-Way at Full Gear. A couple things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Dynamite before I get the hell up out of here. Was it a good show? No. And to be honest with you, that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk to you guys about in today's episode, man, is number one, I appreciate y'all showing up and checking out the episode. If y'all do, I really do appreciate it. But obviously there's a lot of hostility right now going on with AEW. There's a lot of fans and other podcasters out there that are extremely pissed off with the direction of AEW as of late. And I've seen everybody talking about it, from the fans to other podcasters, and everybody seems like they're extremely pissed off with the direction of AEW. I'm going to be honest with y'all, man. I absolutely agree with those people, being pissed off with AEW. As of late, man, I told you guys a couple weeks ago, man, as of late, AEW has become a chore to watch. And, I understand, and I mentioned this, last week, that, with Jon Moxley, the segment, it's run its course, man. I mean, to see Claudio and Wheeler Yuta attack JD Drake, man, I started busting out laughing. It's like they pulled this guy out of catering and then started beating the shit out of JD Drake for no apparent reason whatsoever. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't know or understand the logic of what the hell's going on here with Jon Moxley. And for the past few weeks, I've said, who's the person behind, the mastermind of Jon Moxley? Is it, Shane McMahon, or is it Sami Callihan? At this point, I don't think it's either one of them at this point. Not that I was crossing my fingers hoping it was Shane, but, at this point, I have no idea the direction that they're going. There's really no follow-up of what happened with Bryan Danielson, which is unfortunate after what happened at Wrestle Dream with him losing the title. There's no follow-up with that. I mean, to me, it seems like it's going to be the Matt and Nick Jackson taking on Jon Moxley and restoring the throne, if you will, of AEW, which is ultimately going to be AEW's biggest downfall, unfortunately, because, Matt and Nick Jackson were heels. I can see why they would come back and attack Jon Moxley due to the fact that, the Blackpool Combat Club attacked Brandon Cutler a couple weeks ago. But if that's the direction that they're going with this, then it's already failed before it's even begun, to be honest with you, because we've already seen this shit already play out with the Elite taking out, Tony Khan. When Jack Perry came back and attacked, Tony Khan in the middle of the ring, the Bucks hit an EVP trigger and a Meltzer driver on Tony Khan in the middle of the ring, hence the reason why, Tony Khan was in a neck brace during the NFL draft. So I don't, and again, that direction of that went absolutely nowhere. Yeah, we got the Anarchy in the Arena and the Blood and Guts match, but there was no follow-up after that. What was the ultimate end game for the Elite attacking Tony Khan? You know what I mean? Now it's, Jon Moxley attacking AEW Part 2 pretty much, and it's failed. It's not going to go anywhere, man. I think people, I know there's a lot of people out there that, give it a chance, give it time, let it marinate. It's been like 6 weeks, bro, where nothing has progressively got better with this storyline. I mean, the ship has sailed at this point, and logically, there's a lot of logic gaps in this storyline. You know what I mean? Like, at one time, you were attacking Dark Order and Alex Reynolds and John Silver to Top Flight. We have not seen Top Flight in a while. We have not seen the Dark Order in a while. So I really don't understand where Jon Moxley's going with this and how JD Drake falls into play with this, to be honest with you. It's like, we're going to pull out, this guy out of catering and beat the shit out of him for no reason. I just think it's ridiculous, man. And again, I'm going to reiterate this again, and I'm going to keep saying this until shit changes with AEW. I watch AEW because I love professional wrestling. I've always have loved professional wrestling ever since I was a kid, and I've watched AEW since the very beginning. Since day one, when they finally announced AEW Dynamite, I watched the first episode all the way up until now. And the show's had a lot of highs and a lot of lows. This is probably the lowest part of AEW right now, in my honest opinion. There's no sense of direction. You have Jon Moxley doing interviews saying, He wants to have a hard reset for AEW. Well, but it's been 6 weeks, and we haven't got jack shit. Do I think Jon Moxley is going to be the guy that carries this company on his back? No, I don't. I think Jon Moxley's a great wrestler. He cuts a great promo. Absolutely. But I don't know what his vision is of the AEW that he wants to portray on weekly episodic television, because at this point, I'm not seeing it. If you're showcasing the younger talent, if anything, you're beating the shit out of the younger talent, not even showcasing the younger talent or building future, younger stars to make themselves into bigger characters on television. You're not doing that. What you're doing is beating the shit out of people that have been sitting in catering for the past, 2-3 years. That haven't done jack shit. So you're not building up the current talent base that you have right now, or the AEW originals, and bringing them up. I know Jon Moxley had an interview saying that he wants to help the younger talent and bring up the AEW originals and help them climb the ladder. What fucking ladder are we talking about here? Jon Moxley's had the AEW championship. We yet to see the goddamn belt since he's won it at Wrestle Dream. It's in that goddamn briefcase that Marina Shafir's been walking around with like it's a brand new pair of diamond earrings. We haven't seen the fucking belt since Wrestle Dream, when Bryan Danielson defended the fucking belt in Washington, in Tacoma. So we haven't seen shit with that belt yet. So again, they're not leaving anybody any Easter eggs to kind of really sink your teeth into and get invested in this goddamn storyline. And the entire other side of the coin is that they don't give a shit. I genuinely feel that Tony Khan is a person where I don't even know how to explain it. I'm not going to sit here and say narcissist, but I will say that, I understand, and don't get me wrong, I understand people out there that have a dream and doing what they want to do, and, obviously, yeah, back up your own bullshit, believe in your own bullshit, absolutely. Back up your shit. Absolutely. But I feel like, yeah, you can back up your bullshit, but you cannot be naive enough not to understand what the fuck is going on around you. You can look at the ticket sales of AEW, they're in the goddamn toilet. Absolutely. And they've been in the fucking toilet for a while. They're doing these arenas for 12,000 seat arenas, and they can only fit about, ticket sale wise, 2,000 to 3,000 people, if that. That's a fucking problem. I know some people are like, oh well, I don't understand why the hostility, man. They just signed this big contract with this Time Warner and this new TV deal. And you don't think Time Warner and Warner Media are going to look at those goddamn numbers from the ratings and the fact the ticket sales, and they're not doing shit? I really feel like Tony Khan bamboozled the shit out of Time Warner and Warner Media. He played them. He hustled the shit out of them. Absolutely. Because he gave them a product at that time that he thought was suitable enough to get the money that he was looking for. And now that he got the money, the $550 million for the next 3-4 years, Tony Khan's going to be coasting the shit out of this, man. He's already got his goddamn money. And he thinks that they're safe. No, they're not safe. Time Warner can pull the plug on this shit anytime, anywhere. If they're not actually genuine, actually adding revenue to this company, it's not going to happen. And how much revenue are you actually making from pay-per-view sales to ticket sales to merch? How can you have that much merch sales when you only got 1,000 people in the goddamn stadium, if that? You had Jon Moxley come out last night to absolutely fucking crickets last night. Where there was actually a person in the fan, I know someone else had said this too, but I had to say this because it's absolutely fucking hilarious. You had somebody else in the fan say, go back to Roman. Go back to Reigns. And yelled it. And the entire arena heard it. Jon Moxley is not going to be the guy that's going to carry this company on his back to better in future pastures, man. It's not going to happen. I have all the respect in the world for Jon Moxley. I think he's a great competitor. I think he's a great athlete. And he cuts a hell of a promo. But right now, if Jon Moxley, and I'm just using this as a prime example, if Jon Moxley has full creative control over this storyline and what he's been doing and what he's been portraying on television, oh man, we're in deep shit. Now, I know a lot of people point the finger at Tony Khan, and rightfully so. There's no creative team here, man. They brought in Jennifer Peppermint, and they literally lined her up with Mercedes Moné. And I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all, man. I was a big fan of Sasha Banks and what she did in WWE, but right now, she's took a demotion in her career being with AEW. It's not the same shit. She's coasting by, and they think because of the name, she can just coast by and do whatever the hell she wants to do. And again, I will reiterate this one last time. When Jon Moxley said, oh, we're going to have this younger talent climb the ladder, well, how really can you do that when you constantly, being Tony Khan and AEW, bring in former WWE talent and push them to the goddamn moon? Now, I'm not sitting here saying, Swerve Strickland is a whole different scenario. Swerve came in, obviously a former WWE guy, but made a immense name for himself in AEW, and he worked his ass off to get the opportunities that he got and the opportunity for him coming AEW World Champion. I'm not taking anything away from Swerve. Absolutely not. Swerve is a diamond in the rough when it pertains to former WWE talent coming over to AEW. Hands down. The guy made a better name for himself over in AEW than he ever did in WWE. Hands down. But you're bringing in all this other WWE talent. You brought in Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin. You brought in Saraya. You brought in Mercedes Moné. How can these other talents climb this ladder when you consistently keep adding former WWE talent and then pushing them to the goddamn moon? You know what I mean? And you can't sit here and tell me that the locker room of AEW right now is, oh yeah, this real full steam ahead, man. Everything's great. No, dude. There's probably some people there that are fucking dreading life to be and show up at work every day for AEW. They have to be. They probably, for example, JD Drake, that dude was probably sitting in catering right now, or last night, scarfing down a chili dog, and Claudio and Packer were like, you know what, you ain't doing shit. We're going to beat the hell out of you and show you on national television. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck are we doing here, dude? What are we doing? And my thing is, I know some people are like, oh, this is not NWO, this is not the Wolfpack or anything else like that type of innovation. Yeah, you're right. But do I think they need to do some shit like that? Yeah. At this point, yeah, because it doesn't make any fucking sense, dude. It just doesn't. Jon Moxley has been, it's been 6 weeks, bro, where there's been no Easter eggs. There's been nothing to really sink your teeth into, be like, oh man, goddamn, I can't wait for Full Gear. Orange Cassidy's going to beat the shit out of Jon Moxley. No, dude. I'd be very surprised if Orange Cassidy walks out Full Gear beating Jon Moxley for the AEW World Championship, because honestly, I don't see it. I don't. Jon Moxley's not going to lose his first title defense after beating Bryan Danielson at Wrestle Dream in Tacoma. Because right now, AEW is strapping the goddamn rocket ship to Jon Moxley's back to take this company to new heights. But right now, that company ain't going no goddamn where. It's not, bro. I mean, the AEW fans that believe that this company's actually doing well and is making a profit and actually doing well as far as TV ratings or putting on actual really good television week in, week out, I don't know what to tell you guys, man. You guys are delusional. I really don't know what to tell you. And I mean that with the all due respect. I don't know what the fuck y'all are watching, but this shit is garbage, bro. And I hate saying this, but like I told you guys before, man, when is the last time, genuinely, if you watched AEW from the beginning until now, or watched it for the past couple years, when's the last time that you can genuinely say that you were locked in 100% storyline-based and match-based with AEW? That you were like, holy shit, I had to see this. Holy shit, I can't believe this is playing out the way it is. Because for me, to be honest with you, for the past couple years with AEW, the last thing that I can think of, the last two things I could possibly think of that actually sunk my teeth into and actually got invested in with AEW was the person behind the person wearing the devil's mask and Sting's retirement tour and his retirement match. That was the last two fucking things I can remember from AEW that I was genuinely invested in as a goddamn fan. Sting's been gone, bro, since what, last year's March? You know what I mean? Or early March? Like what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And then you had All In, which was great, and All Out, which I'll give Tony Khan credit. All In, All Out was great. Told a hell of a story. Why can't we stay with that shit? Why can't we still stay on that same fucking direction? You look at someone like Adam Page, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Jay White or Juice Robinson. I'm not. But you go from Adam Page having a barn burner of a match with Swerve. I mean, a legendary matchup, a matchup that will live on in the history books of professional wrestling. And now I feel like they got nothing to do with Adam Page. Not taking anything away from Jay White, but why are we not putting Adam Page in predominant storylines? You know what I mean? You look at Swerve, yeah, Swerve just came back, but it looks like he's going to be in a storyline or is in a storyline with the Hurt Syndicate. Why can't we have the same thing with Page? You know what I'm saying? Like what are we doing? What are we doing? And I used to say back in the day, and I'll be the first one, I will stay on this hill by myself. Injuries, hurt this company. Yeah, they do. They do. Because for me as a fan, yeah, I'm waiting for the Kenny Omegas to come back, the Kota Ibushi's, Matt and Nick Jackson to come back and really figure out what the hell's going on. Eddie Kingston, again, sorely miss Eddie Kingston, man. Hopefully he comes back and has a speedy recovery. But the reason why we miss these talents being injured is not because we're fans of them, is because when they come in, hopefully we're predicting shit will change. Because this person's back from injury. They've been laid off for so many months with this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? We're not getting that shit, bro. We're not getting predominant storylines, and I'm sorry, but this is not All Japan Pro Wrestling. It's not. Credit, yeah, the Continental Classic tournament, definitely looking forward to it. The first time they had the first ever Continental Classic tournament, it was great. It was awesome. And hopefully that can repeat itself this time with this tournament that's going to take place in about 2 weeks. But again, with the way things are going in AEW right now, I'm not really that confident, bro. I'm not. AEW needs help. AEW, I don't give a shit if it's a writing team or something. Because if not, and if this is the best we're going to get, bro, this company's not going to last. It's not. Because what happens when you start thinking that you're going to get 2,000 people to buy these tickets, to actually be there for AEW, and it goes down to 1,000 to 500. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, you got to look at it from all angles, bro. I mean, how much revenue really is AEW making? Number one. Obviously not that much considering the fact that ticket sales are down, the ratings are down, not a lot of people are tuning into AEW. They're more, tuning into what WWE is doing in Raw and SmackDown or, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, it's not hard to comprehend. It's not hard to really understand really what the fuck is going on here. Tony Khan's too naive to really understand what's going on with his own company. And unfortunately, it's going to be something where he's going to self-sabotage his own self and his company, and this company's going to go in the goddamn ground if shit does not change, bro. And it's not just me saying this. I'm not trying to be the rinse and repeat for everybody else or be the voice for everybody else. I'm just telling you what I see week in and week out, and this shit is becoming a goddamn chore to watch, bro. And I know some people will say, well, don't watch it, man. Don't watch it. No, this is what I do. This is what I do. If you don't like it, go somewhere else, bro. With all due respect. I love professional wrestling. It's one of the greatest sports of all time. And it is a goddamn sport. But when the sport gels together, where you have predominant storylines, compelling matches, and storylines that sink people, like, actually get invested and emotion into this shit, it writes itself, bro. It does. You can sit here and say for 6 months, and I'm going to drop a little knowledge on y'all. You can look at the Jon Moxley storyline that's been going on for 6 months, okay? And then on the flip side of the coin, you can look at the storyline with the bloodline that's been going on for 3 fucking years, dude. Like, come on. 6 months with Jon Moxley and the shit's going nowhere to the fact where fans are actually leaving AEW to watch Raw and SmackDown because it makes more sense. Where Roman Reigns and the bloodline storyline has been going on for 3 fucking years and it's progressively got better and better and better with time. It's like a fine wine, bro. They add ingredients and get fans invested for them to sink their teeth into to get emotionally invested in the fucking storyline. Jon Moxley ain't doing shit. If I'm being honest, if I'm being brutally honest, the only person I can see prospering for this whole goddamn, like, Blackpool Combat Club or the Death Riders, I would say Marina Shafir. Marina Shafir's done a hell of a job. I think she's almost reinvented her career just joining Jon Moxley and being a part of the Death Riders. She's done great. I can't blame Marina Shafir. And the reason why is because this has everything to do with Jon Moxley. Moxley is the one who made the mission statement to Tony Schiavone saying that this is no longer their company. Well, why are you not showing me why this is not their company anymore? Why you are not attacking more talent backstage? Why is announcers not getting beat up? Why is Tony Khan not getting approached? Why are they not... last night the whole thing was, oh, Jon Moxley's taking over TBS Superstation. With what? 10 fucking minute promo? That's it? He should have been going to the back, to the actual media truck, disrupting the audio, disrupting the show, being backstage, messing with, the people backstage and stuff like that, and messing with the audio people to kind of, disrupt the normal of AEW, to kind of have him actually take over the TBS Superstation. No. You had like a 10-15 minute promo, and that was it. Then he got jumped by Darby Allin, and then him and Marina Shafir walk off to the back, get in the Dodge Ram, and they take the hell off. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? It makes no sense logically, bro. Like, you can't sit here and tell me that this shit is awesome. You can't. It doesn't make sense. You need a storyline for the fans to sink their teeth into and get invested into not only the storyline, but into your goddamn product. And you can't even do that. You can't even do that. And that's the saddest thing about AEW, because right now the state of AEW is so fucking bad, I can't even tell you how bad it is. Seriously. And I'm tired of ranting about this, but the truth is the truth, bro. A spade's a spade. This shit sucks. This shit is awful, man. And my thing is, if you could look at like NXT and AEW, NXT's been kicking their ass in the ratings for the past couple weeks. AEW went head-to-head with NXT on AEW's night, and they still got their ass kicked in the ratings. I know some people say, oh, that's because they were at the 2300 Arena, ECW's home, yada, yada. Okay, Okay, wow. It shouldn't even been fucking close considering the fact of the roster that AEW has, bro. I mean, it shouldn't have. Absolutely not. Even the storyline, if you actually would have made the storyline a little bit better with Jon Moxley, you might have beat NXT in the fucking ratings, but you didn't. That's the shit I'm talking about, bro. Tony Khan and his staff don't give a shit about the fans. And this company, when it was formed and created, Tony Khan said that this company was for the fans. I feel like that's no longer the case anymore. The booking for the sickos, unfortunately, that's doing more harm than good when it pertains to AEW as a whole. You know what I mean? We don't need a fucking dream match every goddamn week, bro. Let that shit marinate. Let that build. Actually build a storyline for that matchup. Look at Will Ospreay and Ricochet, bro. You could have built that storyline. No, but as soon as Ricochet comes in, he has 2 or 3 matches, and bam, we're gonna give him Will Ospreay for the AEW Continental Championship. Off the goddamn rip. No storyline, no build, nothing. The only thing that people can sink their teeth into is, oh yeah, they had history back in the day on the indies. Not everybody's gonna fucking know that. Nobody's gonna know. Not every fucking fan in AEW is gonna realize, oh yeah, they had beef in the indies. You know, from Rev Pro to PWG or what. Nobody's gonna know that shit. So let the fans who don't know why this match is so important. It ultimately almost killed Ricochet's entire career in AEW. Destroyed it almost. You know what I mean? Because now if Ricochet has another match with Ospreay, oh, we already saw this the first time. It takes away the whole idea of the match. You're not building towards it. You're not getting fans invested. If you look at Full Gear leading up till next weekend, can you honestly say the build-up is great? No. Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley? Are you really that invested in that? Because we all know what the fuck is going to happen. Moxley's going to beat Orange Cassidy. I do not see Orange Cassidy beating Jon Moxley. I just don't. I'd be very surprised if he beats Moxley and walks out AEW champion. I'd be shocked. And also, if you look at that, and say Orange Cassidy does lose to Jon Moxley at Full Gear, then where does this put Orange Cassidy? Back of the line. Back of the line. The one guy that AEW hypes up to be their savior, you're back in the line now, bud. You got to work your way back up to get a title shot again. We've already been down this road again with Orange Cassidy before. You know what I mean? Rinse and repeat, and the shit does not work. It's the same thing I said about Matt and Nick Jackson. Yeah, if they come back, okay, great. I know Kenny Omega's training to come back. I know he wants to be a part of the Wrestle Dynasty show in January. Okay, great. It'd be great to see Kenny Omega come back into the fold. I know he wants to challenge Okada. Well, here's the problem. If the Elite or the Young Bucks want to realign themselves with Kenny Omega, well, then on the other side of that coin, you had to look at the fact that they already have a stable with Okada. So how the hell is that going to work? If they align themselves up with Omega, knowing that Okada has been with the Elite or the Young Bucks this whole time, how's that going to play out? You know what I mean? Are they going to come back as babyfaces and say the hell with Okada and Jack Perry? They're going to end. Young Bucks are going to end up putting themselves in a corner where they might not be able to get the hell out of. Logically, to be honest. I mean, I think that's the biggest problem with AEW, bro. It's story, the lack of creative, the lack of storyline, and the lack of fans really actually getting invested and sinking their teeth into this product. And I mentioned this so many times until I was like blue in the face, bro. When it comes down to weekly episodic television for AEW, it's dog shit. It's not. What I mean by that is, there's nothing that when it comes to Dynamite anymore, bro. It's like I said, it seems like it's a chore. There's nothing there that you really sink your teeth into anymore because it's like, oh, here we go again with this shit. But a couple years ago, man, I was excited as hell to watch Dynamite. If you guys go back in time, I'm sure you guys remember this. I mentioned this a couple times in the past. You remember those NXT Black and Gold, brand episodes and stuff, man. I was excited as shit to watch those episodes, man. I would sit there with my wife and watch these shows and be like, holy shit, man, this is awesome. From seeing Gargano versus Ciampa, Andrade versus Malachi Black, Keith Lee's title run, Undisputed Era running a tear on the entire roster for NXT. I mean, it was great shit to watch, bro. And having Mauro Ranallo on commentary, really, that guy could sell a match like selling sliced bread, bro. No bullshit. And I miss those days, bro. And with Dynamite, when they first came around, we got that. It was the alternative. It was like, here we are. Here's the punk rock of pro wrestling once again. And we're going to shove this into WWE's face. And not that it's tribalism for me, but it gave me another alternative besides just watching Raw and SmackDown, because Raw and SmackDown at that time really wasn't doing that well either. So when AEW came into the fold and I saw Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Being a part of the show, MJF, Chris Jericho showing up and being a part of that press conference in Jacksonville. I mean, it was insane at that time to think, what these guys created with All Elite Wrestling. And everybody was excited, myself included. I was ecstatic, bro. And the first 2-3 years of AEW was great. Brody Lee came in, God rest his soul, had some great matches with Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes. They were great matches. Some legends came in, DDP, Arn Anderson, some great moments. Jade Cargill obviously was a part of AEW at one point. So there was a lot of shit going on in the first 3 years. Sting making his AEW debut. I mean, it was great, bro. And Sting, I'm going to be honest, I think Sting's AEW run was almost better than his TNA run, which I might be a hot take for a lot of people, but his AEW run was fantastic. I'll give Tony Khan credit on that because his retirement match was one of the best retirement matches I've ever seen in all of professional wrestling, in my honest opinion. It was fantastic, and I was happy that Sting had his family involved as well to be a part of his retirement match. But it was awesome, man. The storylines, the vignettes from Sting, it was great, and I wish we went back to that. I wish we got back to predominant storylines where fans can get invested in and be like, holy shit, I can't wait till Dynamite next week. Seriously, man, it's not really hard to comprehend. It's just AEW and Tony Khan, they just don't want to do it. That's just the bottom line of it. They're not going to listen to me. They're not going to listen to the fans. They don't give a shit, bro. They're making their money. That's just the way it is. And unfortunately, it's going to cripple this company to a point where they can't even get out of it anymore. And it's done. It's a done deal. Company closes, and the roster, the talent, they go elsewhere. They go to WWE or Japan or TNA or who knows. That's what's going to happen because at the end of the day, when you start having less and less people, appearing at these shows or buying tickets to see these shows or less pay-per-view buys, it's going to cripple this company because people can't get invested in the product. I know Tony Khan and AEW mentioned they want to have a fan experience at these AEW shows. Well, that's great if you can actually, a decent house of fans showing up for these events, man. You're not. Full Gear is one of their predominant pay-per-views on, the calendar year for AEW. A lot of shit usually happens at Full Gear, but I don't see it happening this year. I just don't. And I'm not going to say, the Young Bucks are going to come back and they're going to be the savers of AEW. No, I'm not saying that. I think if that's the direction they're going to go with the Jon Moxley storyline, it's already failed, bro. How many people are going to be pissed off knowing that the Matt and Nick Jackson come back and they're the ones to take back AEW? I think there's going to be a lot of fans genuinely pissed off and confused, considering the fact that not too long ago, Matt and Nick Jackson attacked the owner and CEO, Tony Khan of AEW. And that whole storyline went nowhere. So, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to rehash this shit now? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, man. At the end of the day, I think Dynamite wasn't the best show last night. Absolutely not. It wasn't the worst, but it damn sure was not the best. And things need to change, bro. AEW needs help. I'm not sitting here saying they're on life support at this point, but they're not too far from it. They need help, man. They need a shot in the arm. And if Moxley's saying this is a hard reset and things are going to change in AEW, bro, win. To be honest with you. It's been 6 months. And we've been seeing the same shit for the past few weeks. And nothing's happened. The past few months, ever since Wrestle Dream, which was, October? You know what I mean? I wouldn't say 6 months. 6 weeks. 6 weeks of this shit and nothing's happened. 6 months. I wish it was. Christ, if it was 6 months of this shit, I don't know what the hell I would do. 6 weeks ever since Wrestle Dream, in October, and here we are in November. And it's been progressively getting worse. When you thought things were going to hell a lot better considering what happened at Wrestle Dream. And it just hasn't got better, man. It just hasn't. Things need to change drastically for AEW. Because if not, this AEW that we all fell in love with when it first came around, it's not going to be here forever, man. It's not. And I'll say this, as a fan, enjoy it while you can. Or take bits and pieces out of the show and enjoy it while you can, bro. Because at this point, I don't know. I feel like AEW definitely has a shelf life, to be honest with you. Especially if they keep going down the road that they're currently going down. If that's the case, yeah, this company's not going to last forever, and it does got a shelf life. But with that being said, this is my review of AEW Dynamite. I hope you guys are out there staying safe.